You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Yes, you are listening to Orange County's longest running business talk show, and I am your host, Rick Franzi. And boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why, do you ask? Because our guest is Amanda Weil. She is the founder and CEO of Style Awakenings. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's really a pleasure to be here.
So as a founder, I always get to ask my origin story question. So take us back in time. Sort of give us the run up to and then the inspiration and ultimately the motivation for you to start Style Awakenings.
Yes. Well, my background, I actually started in corporate America, which is why I love that I'm on a business-focused talk show today. So I began my career in corporate. I was there for about 12 years doing branded integration and digital ad sales and, working for like Yahoo back when that was the thing before Facebook and Instagram, and made my way over to Sony Pictures, and I was living in LA and just had a beautiful career. I mean, I loved my career. I loved what I did. It was very fulfilling. And yet I got to a place where it just felt like there was something more. It felt like my soul was like, hey, I don't think you're meant to sit in a desk anymore. I think you need to be doing more. I think there's more people out there that you can be helping. And at the time, I started taking some leadership, emotional intelligence courses just to really look at myself, to really start going deeper with myself and start to release some of the limiting beliefs I had, some of the stories I had created, and just really start to look at myself from that deep lens. And that's when I started to realize I'd always wanted to be a stylist. I've always loved clothes. I've always been able to look at things and just put them together and just say, oh, wear that and that and that. It's going to look amazing. And people are like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, just put it on. And I just assumed everyone did. I thought everyone loved to shop. I thought everyone could just put something on and feel really good about themselves. And the more I dove into it, the more I realized that a lot of people are actually hiding in their clothes, or they don't really feel like they know how to show up in a way that shows off who they truly are. And so there's a disconnect. And I started to see how that was actually holding people back from pursuing certain endeavors because they didn't feel confident. And so the more I kept doing this personal growth, transformation, leadership work, the more I started to realize, wait a second, I could take this passion of style and this deep transformational work and marry the two and create something really, really deep. And that's when it felt okay to me. That's when I gave myself permission to pursue the path of styling, because I also had this story that being a stylist was a stupid career that I went to college. I really don't like saying that because it's so not true, but that's the story I had made up. And so when I was able to really merge the two and kind of create this business where we're doing the deeper inner transformational work while we're revamping your style, that's when I knew that I was onto something, and I just had to keep going.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great origin story. And let's keep going. So any pivots to the business? Any changes? Did the marketplace give you any indicators of maybe doing something slightly different or more for people?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I think that as you're building a business, I always look at every single client as a new case study for me and a new opportunity to learn. And I feel like with every client, I am learning something new and I am pivoting, right? And I'm going deeper and I'm adding more, or I'm taking things away that maybe didn't work. So, my core is still my one-on-one clients. That's always going to be my focus because that's how I'm able to really go deep with my clients. Yet I also started to learn that there were a lot of people that wanted to travel to Europe and shop. Maybe they hadn't done that before. So I was able to launch that as an aspect of my business too, to take people on retreats in Europe, right? And so I just think that that's really what I think entrepreneurship is the more we become aware of ourselves and the more we continue to grow our business, it's being open and flexible to changing things up or adding or, going in a different direction.
I think that's so true. I've never met an entrepreneur whose business model never evolved.
Right. I mean, if it didn't, you would kind of, go down. And interestingly, we were talking about how this shifted during COVID. My business totally changed as well, and it actually took off because I was able to figure out a lot of people were home from work and they finally were ready to look at their closets. And I was able to figure out how to detox people's closets virtually. And because of that, I now have clients. They're not just in California. My clients are all over the US. They're all over the world, actually, because I've figured out how to do both. We can do in person or we can do virtual. So it's really cool when you're able to be flexible.
And I love stories where COVID actually made a benefit, like something good came from what was a very trying and not good time.
Agreed.
Okay, so let's unpack the business a little bit.
Yes.
Start with the name.
Okay.
Start with what you call yourself, which is a soul stylist, and then tell us what problems are you solving, who are you helping, and who gets maximum benefit from working with you?
Yeah, I love this question. So the reason why I call myself a soul stylist is because in the past, when I was just a stylist, calling myself just a stylist, a lot of people, first of all, thought it was a hairstylist, which, I mean, I love hairstylists. They're amazing. Yet I go to one because I am not a talented hairstylist. And just calling myself a clothing stylist or a fashion stylist it didn't really include the deeper work that we do. So the reason why I call myself a soul stylist is because for me, I'm really guiding my clients to get clear on their inner essence. Who are they really? Who is that man or woman within? Like, let's dig deep and find that abundance, that joy, that creativity, that happiness, because we all have it. And sometimes life just weighs us down and we start to hide that part of us because we get in the routine. So I'm really about helping break people back open, get them excited about their life again, get them focused on where they're going in their life, what they're creating, what their soul truly desires. And then we craft their style from that place so that they start dressing as the man or the woman that they're becoming. So it's really using style as that tool to manifest the life that you want and that you're stepping into. And it's like, be that person now as if it's already here. So that's why I call myself a soul stylist.
Got it. Love it.
Yeah. And the journey that I take people through, Style Awakenings, the name of my business, it's really a 4-month process with me. And it breaks down into 4 different phases. The first is getting really clear in your vision. And so this is where we're getting clear in your life vision and also your style vision. So what does that version of you look like? Let's create the mood board. Let's, get a really clear representation so that you can work towards embodying that version of you. And then the second phase is the detox, where we're in your closet, obviously detoxing, because clothing, like everything else, is made up of energy. So we don't want that stagnant energy just hanging out in our closet, because if it's in our closet, we know that it's elsewhere in our life. So there's a lot I can learn about someone when I'm detoxing their closet and I start to see what their stories are and what's really going on in the rest of their life and what we need to detox there as well. Usually some thoughts, some words that they're saying that we really need to let go of. And once we've detoxed, then we're in the space to intentionally add things back in. So intentionally add in pieces that align with your style vision, with where you're going. And then intentionally add in some actions, some thoughts, some phrases that are gonna help benefit and move you towards your goals. And then the final phase is really bringing it all together and embodying it, where we're creating these head to toe outfits where once you put them on, you feel like that version of you. So you can just walk in your closet with such ease. And that's really when I start to see, the goals that they've set for themselves, like progress is really starting to happen. And these are goals that maybe people have had for months and months and months, years and years and years. And yet they're finally taking the action towards it. And they're finally being the person who has already achieved it.
So a couple follow-up questions, if I could. I wrote a couple things down. In your experience, what percentage of the closet gets detoxed?
Everyone asks that. Every client is different. I have some clients where we're getting rid of 80 to 90%. I have others where maybe we're just getting rid of 10% because they really have great pieces and maybe they need more help mixing and matching and like putting them together in a really unique way and just looking at it differently.
So over the years, we've been on the air 15 years. I have had the good fortune to talk with other stylists, and many times it's more of a trend. It's what do you like and let's get you to look current. It sounds like you're doing that probably, as well as going deeper though to understand what's the reflection of you that you want your clothes to be, right?
100%. I always say style is not what's on trend, it's what's within. So fashion is what we're seeing on the runway. That's what we see in the stores. Style is being able to maybe take those trends, decide if you like them or not, and then wear them in a way that works for you. So it's really interesting because with so many of my clients, they learn a lot working with me so that by the end, they're kind of like, all right, I'm good now. Now I know how to shop. I'm good. All right, see you later. No, it's good. I want everyone to learn that. And then maybe we'll do like a quarterly refresh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want anyone to be so dependent on me because that's not allowing them to truly express themselves. Like my goal is for people to fall so in love with themselves, to get so clear in who they are that they feel confident going into their closet and putting on whatever they want because they know who they are now. So that's really what I'm all about. So trends are amazing, yet that's not really all that it's about. Yeah.
To think that, and I think maybe people are realizing it through this interview, or maybe certainly the people that are working with you have realized it, but I'm not sure how many professional people realize how important what they wear is to who they are.
It's everything. It's everything. And, not in, like what we were just saying, it's not that you're showing up like the trendiest person, the most fashionable person. It's keep in mind that, we're human beings. And as much as I say, we should really try not to judge other people. Within 3 to 5 seconds of meeting someone, you've already made a judgment. It's what we do. It's #human. It's what we do. And that's before you've really said anything. So it's based on how you're showing up. And so of course that's what you're wearing, but then it's also the energy that you're exuding. And so when you actually are intentional about what you put on your body and you put something on that makes you feel a certain way, that makes you feel like the CEO, that makes you feel like the leader, I don't know, that makes you feel like the person that's going to close that deal, you're shifting your energy. You're actually shifting your state. Tony Robbins always talks about like dance, jump around to shift your state.
Right.
But right, you can also put on clothing to shift your state.
Yeah.
So when you do that and then you walk into a room, there's a certain energy that you're exuding. And so people are going to notice you and they're going to be attracted to you. They're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to hire you because you're showing up confident. That's really what it's all about.
Well, and if I understand what your work is focused around, which I think is powerful and deep, it's being congruent with who you are and what you wear. Mm-hmm. And that's almost the opposite of being on trend, because maybe you're doing it because others are doing it and that's really not you, but you want to sort of fit in. Yes. This idea of classics, if you're wearing something that you feel powerful in, it's good for you. And that's really who you should be dressing for. It's for yourself, right?
Yes, that's exact. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that, because that's what I always tell people, that when you wake up in the morning and you get dressed, it's not for anyone else. It's for yourself. It's for how you want to feel. Even if you're working from home, especially like during the pandemic, a lot of people were really struggling because for so many reasons. Yet one of the reasons was also because they weren't going into an office. And so they were in their sweats, they were in their pajamas all day, and they felt their productivity declining. And I did a challenge at the start of COVID. I did like a 7-day challenge with people, like get up and get dressed. And things completely shifted for them. And their productivity came back and their focus came back. And it really does make a difference, because you look in the mirror, you see yourself, you're feeling a certain way. And we're always attracting in things. We're always manifesting. We're always, calling things in. We're always calling in the next business deal or the next client. And it's not just when you're out in public and people are seeing you. It's 24/7. So I always say, like, who are you behind closed doors? Are you the same person? Because you really get to be the same person, because that's total authenticity.
Okay, so I hope you don't mind maybe a little deeper. You mentioned before when you do the detox that clothes have energy, and I think people maybe think of them as inanimate objects that are whatever, but that energy, it's on your body, is
Mhm.
affecting your energy as well.
100%. 100%. And so you can go so much deeper with this too and start to look at the fabrics that you're putting on your body. Are they man-made? Are they like polyester, which is petroleum based? Or are they natural? Are they cotton? Are they hemp? Because your cells, your skin is your largest organ. So it's also absorbing all of that. So when you start to think about what you're putting on your body and it's on your skin all day long, like think about what you're absorbing. And when you start to have this awareness and you start to think a little bit deeper about it, you'll notice that when you put certain things on your body, if you're actually paying attention, you will feel a certain way. Like sometimes I'll reach into my closet and put on a top or a dress, and immediately I'm like, oh, we are done. We are so done. We're
Not today.
getting donated, right? It's like we're always elevating and like changing who we are. So your style is always going to be evolving too. And some days you might just realize, like, yeah, that piece is no longer me.
Right. It was good at the time, but I haven't. Yeah, it's so deep. Okay, we could. I'm sorry, we got off script, ladies and gentlemen, but I
That's
couldn't help
great.
myself because what Amanda was talking about triggered other follow-up questions. But I
I love.
did want to ask you, on this journey as a founder, have you ever felt a little bit alone as you built your firm?
Oh my gosh, yes, of course. And I mean, keep in mind, I started my career, I was at ad agencies, right? And then I was at like huge companies like Yahoo and Tremor and Sony. So I was around tons of people and it was super fun. And there are always fun events and happy hours and all the things. So, yes, to leave that and be at home with my dog, right? It was like, wait a second, especially in the beginning when I was building and I didn't really have the clientele yet.
Right.
It's not like I was out at their home or out shopping with them or taking people on retreats. Like I was behind my computer building and it felt extremely lonely. I mean, there were parts of me that honestly wanted to go back to corporate just for that. Like I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And then I would try to go sit at a coffee shop, but then, I mean, you're hauling all your stuff and then you're not talking to anyone either. So it was a very interesting transition. And I'm at the place now where, I mean, sure, there's every once in a while where I'm like, gosh, it would be really nice to have a coworker. Yeah, I have a virtual assistant. I have other team that I work with. I'm out with my clients, and so I'm much better about it now. It's also been 7-8 years, so it just takes a little bit of time for that adjustment.
And that's such a great lived experience example of what I try to help people who've never been an entrepreneur, especially a founder, and they've been maybe in the corporate world and they think they can do this. Because I walked that same journey. When you come from a world where there's a lot of action around you to the only action that's around you is the action you create,
Mhm.
it takes a real focused effort and determination to get to the point. Then when stuff starts to come back to you.
Right. And also interesting too, because I was almost creating corporate 2.0. Like I felt like I had to sit at my desk from 9 to 7. And it's so funny. Even earlier this year, a girlfriend of mine was like, I'm challenging you. You don't need to work 40 plus hours a week. You need to stop that. And I'm like, okay. And so I've shifted my schedule now. And actually, it's great. I'm doing more of the things that I want to do, more of the things that light me up. And business is still going. Like, so I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, that's great advice a friend gave you. I'm glad you were able to heed it.
Yeah.
Speaking of advice,
Mhm.
is there any other piece of business advice that someone gave you along the way, Amanda, that you can share with our audience today?
Yes. And it's one I tell myself all the time, especially if things feel challenging or if I feel like I'm up against a wall. Just keep going. Like, just keep going. Failure only occurs when you quit. And it's true. Like, the only way to fail is if you quit. And so the journey might not look like you expected. I mean, it rarely ever does look like you expected. Yet I truly believe that as long as you keep going and you keep taking one action step, one little thing every single day, the doors are going to start to open and the path is going to start to light up for you. And it's just remembering, like, one step at a time, and also just remembering that nothing happens overnight. Like every great overnight sensation is like 10, 15 years in the making.
Right.
It just takes time. Yeah.
I think the best for me, the best quality in an individual is perseverance.
Hmm. Get back up.
One step at a time, one step at a time. Just focus on the next step. And before you know it, you look back and go, wow,
And
I went
also,
far.
and if something, I think also like releasing the attachment to specific results. And if something doesn't happen the way that you want it to happen, it doesn't mean you should give up. It means maybe you need to try it again, or maybe you need to shift something about it. Like when I look back at my first retreat that I hosted last year in Paris, I mean, it ended up with me in the hospital with an ambulance ride and all. It
Ooh.
did not end up the way I thought it would.
I wouldn't
Right?
imagine.
Yeah, I kept going in a wheelchair, and I just kept going, and then had an amazing retreat earlier this year in Milan. So it's just because I didn't quit. I didn't say, "Oh, that retreat was awful. I'll never do it again." I thought to myself, "Okay, that didn't go as planned, but you know what? The next one's going to be so it can't be any worse. So let's try again." So it's
Yeah, you can't give up. It's get up off the mat. Do it again. Learn from your past. All right.
Yes.
Artificial intelligence, is that all a thing in your field? And are you looking at it or using it?
So it totally is in my field in a certain way. For me personally, I am so not a fan of it. I think that there's so much beautiful connection that happens when we write our own words, I just think our authenticity comes out when we're, writing our own copy or our own emails or whatever. I definitely think it can be helpful for people who really, really need it. I'm just not one that wants to embrace it right now. I do see it with styling in the virtual space. So there's definitely, even people who subscribe to certain style boxes where they get a monthly delivery.
Right.
And apparently it's a stylist curating for them. Most of those, it has not been a stylist for many years. It is a program in the background. And then they wonder why they're not getting what they're asking for. I'm like, well, because it's not a real person. So 100% that will work. And there's certain people that's amazing for. Yet if you actually want the hands-on, if you want someone in your closet, if you want someone doing this deeper work with you, if you want someone to take you shopping, to take you to Milan to go shopping, AI is not going to do that. So that's where I think there's a separation.
So tell me about the future. You've already had a successful run up to this point. It'll obviously going to continue. What's your vision for the future?
Yes. So I think I will always want to work one-on-one with clients because it's so fulfilling. Like their transformation is so fulfilling. I do see eventually a team of stylists though to help me because there's one of me, right? So being able to help more people. I definitely want to continue with my European retreats, doing at least 2 a year. And next year I actually am planning to be living in Milan for a few months. So I would love to just have clients coming to me and taking them shopping in Milan. I definitely see speaking on stages monthly. That's starting to happen. There is a TV show that I have kind of in the works that we can't really talk about, but that's coming, and that'll lead to other things too. So I'm such a visionary. Having a vision is not my problem.
You're an ideas person. I can see.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm definitely an ideas person. So for me, it's like then just chunking it down, and I've had to really learn to focus on what's in front of me right now, what's most important, and then hold the vision for the other things. So that's really where I see myself, and really my goal is for style to be accessible to everyone, and for people to realize that it's not just for the ultra wealthy. It's not just for the celebs.
Right.
That style really is for everyone. I mean, you can go to Target and find amazing things. You can go into vintage secondhand stores and find amazing things. And I really want people to understand the deeper transformational impact that style has when you're intentional with it. So my goal is really to reshape the world of fashion and style and bring this deeper element into it for people to use it for good.
You heard it here on Critical Mass Business Talk Show, ladies and gentlemen. And just to put a point on that too, I have found that a number of the nonprofits that have retail outlets, whether it be Goodwill or Working Wardrobes, there are some fantastic pieces that you can find in those places as well?
I take a lot of my clothes to Working Wardrobe. I take a lot of my clients' clothes to Working Wardrobe. I mean, they're getting good stuff.
Yeah, right. So, hey, it may not be for you, but it may be perfect for someone else, right?
That's what I always say. Like what we're ready to release, someone else is ready to step into. So it's perfect.
So, Amanda, if someone wants to connect with you, maybe on LinkedIn and learn more about your firm, how do they do that?
Yes, super easy. It's Amanda Weil, Weil. That's how you find me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. It also links to my website on there. You can send me a DM on Instagram, which is just Amanda Weil Style. It's me responding. So I would love to hear from you and see if there's a way that I can help you, just step into your next version.
Thank you for your time today. I said at the top of the show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a good one here, and you did not disappoint, Amanda. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you to the audience. You've just been a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show and podcast. If you're an Orange County entrepreneur or you lead a nonprofit organization here in Orange County and you would like to share your story with our audience, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. If we're not currently connected on LinkedIn, send me a connection request. Mention you'd like to be a guest on the show. If we are connected, just send me a message in LinkedIn or to my email, whatever's easier for you. And between Haley, who's been with us since 2016, our producer, and myself, we'll get you ready so you too can be a guest on a future episode of our show. And until the next time we all have a chance to be together, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.